In this course, I will show you how you can build chatbot using ChatGPT and OpenAI API. I will show you how you can set up your OpenAI account, get your API tokens, and use that to build end-to-end chatbot. So let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome to this section, which is actually my favorite section from this course. And here I will teach you how to build applications using the OpenAI API. So here we'll talk how you can use the API, how to create tokens in order to use it, how to set up the different parameters, and also how to build an end-to-end application using the API. Now, to use the API, firstly, you will need to have PyCharm installed, and by using PyCharm you can create a new project where you write a Python code with which you access the API. But about this we'll talk later on. Let's first see how you can actually obtain the API tokens and what they actually are. So let's click here API and then let's select login. So probably by now you already have your login, so let's log into your account, okay? And after that you can see the common page where you can access the playground, examples, documentation and so on. So then click here on upgrade and go down and see API keys. So those would be the keys that you use in order to access the API. So feel free to select create a new secret key, and you can see that you have it created for you, so you need to copy that and you use that to authenticate yourself when creating an application. Also select here that you will be using the API for personal use, and now we can get started. So let's firstly create a simple application that will access the OpenAI API and it will provide you a response in your console. So let's create a new PyCharm project and I will call it first OpenAI API and then create. Okay, and here is your new project. So here you have the Python virtual environment and let's create a file. So I will do new Python file and I will call it main.py. So here the very first step would be to import some libraries, and in this first example we're actually going to use requests and the JSON libraries to access the OpenAI API, but we will not use the actual library. And then in the next videos I will show you how you can use the actual OpenAI library. So let's do that. Let's do import requests, okay, and hover over this library and select install package requests, and then let's do import JSON, okay. And now once we have those two libraries, let's now create a variable that will be called API key equals, and this would be equal to the key that we just created, okay. So by knowing this API key, your application will know that specifically you are accessing the app. Then let's do model equals to text dash davinci dash 002, and this is the model that you will be using. And then let's do prompt, okay, and the prompt will be what text you will be sending to the model. So let's write something simple. What is the weather today? Okay, so this will verify that our API is working. So now let's do response equals to requests dot post. Okay, so we'll post something, and when you post something you need to first specify the URL. So let's do https api.openai.com/v1/engines and then another slash, okay, and here we're going to add our model, and then here we will add slash components. Okay, let's write comma here, and then we will place in a JSON. So I will do JSON equals to prompt. Okay, so the prompt variable here will be our prompt, so what we want to send to the instrument. Then I will set the max tokens. So let's do max tokens, or this is the number of characters or words. If you want to check detailed description on how tokens are broken down, you can definitely refer to the API documentation. And also in one of the previous lessons I actually explained briefly how tokens are calculated. But let's do the maximum of 500 tokens. Okay, this will control how many words you have in the end. Okay, then the next variable would be headers. Okay, and here I will place the variable content dash type, and then here write application slash JSON comma authorization column banner, and here we will add the API key. Okay, so what we will do simply here, we'll go to this page, we will pass the mode, we will pass the JSON file version of our prompt or what we want to send with the max number of tokens. Also, we're going to pass the header with our API key, so we verify ourselves. And then once we do this request, once we post this request, then we'll get the response and we'll save the response from the API. Now, the response from the OpenAI or the GPT-3 chat is going to be stored here in this response variable. So now we need to display it to the user. So let's do data equals JSON dot loads, okay, and then let's do response dot text, okay, and after that, from this response, since we have it in a JSON version, we need to specifically extract the text. So let's do generated text equals to data choices at position 0, like this, and then we'll get the text. And finally, let's do print generated text. Okay, and I noticed a few typos here. So firstly, change that components to completions, and here instead of banner is bearer. So bearer, bearer. Okay, and make sure that you add space after the bearer here. So this is your complete code, and let's run that. Okay, so once you run it, you will see that you will get a response that the weather today is sunny. Or even you can ask for something more complicated. Let's say, write me an essay about Boston. Okay, let's run that. And it will take a while until we write the essay, but you will see that we'll get an essay as a response about Boston. So after about 10 seconds, you can see that there is an essay about Boston completely written in your terminal. Now, since you have the response and you can actually allocate your answer of your question to this variable response, you can do pretty much everything you like with this variable. You can generate multiple response variables, you can add it into for loops, and you can create your own application using other Python tools and the OpenAI API. Now, if you want to explore the raw response, okay, you can simply print it. And let's see how the actual response looks like before extracting the text from it. So you can see this is how the response looks. And if I want to get the data from the response, which is right here, okay, let's print that as well. You can actually see that this is the complete data. You remember the generated text was data, then we get the ID choices right here, okay, so choices, and from choices we're getting the text, right, at position 0 in this list. And this is how actually we printed the text that is being generated. So every response has multiple fields, such as the ID of the response, the object, the time created, the tokens that you needed in order to generate that response. And this is all data generated by the OpenAI. And if you want to print the text, you simply get the choices and then you follow the text. So you can definitely try this example and verify that your OpenAI API works properly and you're getting the expected response. And this is a very nice way in which by writing a Python code, you can answer pretty much every question. And from here we can build up, and by the end of this section, I will show you how you can create a completely automated chatbot using the OpenAI API, Python and HTML files. Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where I will show you how you can build a complete chatbot using the OpenAI API. So chatbots are used these days in many websites to replace the actual workers that are answering questions to the customers, and normally the chatbots are trained on data specific to the company or public data. It really depends. So you can easily build a chatbot using the OpenAI API, and you will be able to continuously ask questions and get answers from your chatbot. So before starting, I will just show you the final result. So you can see that here is some example page, let's say, and here is your chatbot where you can ask wherever you like. Actually, you can see that here I already was asking some questions. So let's say if you ask how much is 1 plus 1 and click submit, you will immediately get a response from the chatbot that this is equal to 2, and you also get your question. Also, if I ask the chat many questions, you can see that our chat is actually quite clever, and it will create a scroll bar with which you can pretty much see the history in the chat. Scroll, you can minimize it, okay, and you can also close it. So this is the idea of our project, and this is what we're going to be doing into the next few videos. Of course, the result that you just saw will be a result of many iterations. So in the beginning, the chat wouldn't look like this, but that approach will really help you understand how you can build this application easily. Now, to create it, I will actually create a new project, okay? It will be called ChatBot, and I'll open it in a new window. And to create this project, we'll use a Python framework that is called Flask. Flask is helping you to create application and actually run it in a server. So let's create a new Python file, and I'll call it main.py. Okay, and our application will be in this file. So this will be our backend, and then I will create an HTML file, which will be our front end. Actually, firstly, I will create a folder called templates. Okay, normally Flask is looking specifically into the folder templates for HTML files that will help you display your backend. So I will do home.html. Okay, and I will leave this file for now. So let's go first to our main file, and here we will need to do a few things. So firstly, let's import OpenAI, okay, and let's import it. Then I will import Flask, so let's do from Flask, and let's import Flask as well. Okay, so let's import Flask, render template, and request. Okay, so those will be all the methods and classes that we'll actually use for our project. Now, the first thing that I will need to do is to provide my OpenAPI key. So this will be the same key that you used in the last application. Here, you can refer the key by writing OpenAI.API key equals, and I will just copy and paste the key from the other application, or you can also go to your account API keys and copy the key, or just create a new one, because I'm not sure if you can copy it if you didn't record it initially. Okay, once you do that, you need to start your Flask application. So let's do app equals to Flask name, okay? And this is how you start your app with Flask. And before actually creating the project, let's test if our app is going to work. So I will do add app.route, and then let's add a backslash, and I will do def home, okay, and then let's do return hello world. Okay, so let's see if that is actually going to work. So let's finish by writing a few lines for running the code. So let's do if name equals to main, okay, app.run. Okay, so let's run your app. So let's hit run here, and then you'll see that your app is running on this particular link. So if you click the link, your app should display hello world. Okay, this means that everything is good. So once you verified that your app runs properly and can actually display pages in the browser, now we should make sure that your application is actually going to run the OpenAI API. So firstly, I'll create the core function, or the function that will actually run the API. So let's do def generate response prompt, okay, and prompt will be what message we will be sending to the OpenAI, and then let's write completions equals to OpenAI dot completion dot create, and here we're going to simply choose all the components when sending a request. So let's do engine, and this will be our model. So engine will be equal to text dash davinci dash 002, okay, then prompt will be equal to the prompt, or to wherever we send to that function. Then let's do max tokens, and I will make them equal to, let's do 256. Then let's set the number of completions, n would be equal to 1, so we have 1 completion. Then the stop will be equal to none, so we don't want to stop on a full stop. We can change that later. Then let's do temperature. Temperature will be equal to 0.5. Okay, so this is how, guys, you are actually running your request in order to get a response, and the response will be saved in completions. So now let's do message equals to completions dot choices at position 0 dot text. Okay, and what will return is the message dot strip. Okay, so this is how you're pretty much generating the response and returning it. Now, this function, in order to work, you need to pass it to our home page. Okay, now in our case, instead of passing the response directly, so you can see that, for example, now I can, that let's say if I run here return generate response and we ask a question like what is the weather today. Okay, so if I run that and I go to the link, you can see that we are actually getting an answer to our question. The weather today is sunny. Okay, so this is another achievement that we did, and later on we're going to change this response here to actually point to our home HTML file where we're going to define our complete chat. Okay, so initially the idea would be here from the home page, we'll be actually able to write this into the page, click a button, and then go to another page from which you will get the response. So let's actually create the other page. So you can do app.route, okay, and here I'll do slash get, okay, and I'll create a function called get bot response, and then let's do user text equals to request.args.get msg. Okay, so we're gonna get the message, and then here we will display return str generate response user text. Okay, and this is how we're defining our get page. So now let's finally update and remove this statement, and instead let's write render template home for dot html. And so that will be everything for today, guys. This is the complete file, so it's about 33 lines of code. It's not that much. So this is your backend basically. And now in the next video, we'll start working on the home HTML file, and you will be able to see the first responses from your chatbot. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, before continuing, I want to let you know that now you can get the full ChatGPT course for applications development that involves more than 7 hours of HD video content and more than 200 applications using ChatGPT. You can now do that with 50% discount using the code MartinY and the link in the description. You can also become a member of our software development community to get a great support with your career development and also have access to all of our premium courses. So now let's get back to the lesson. Now let's build the HTML file that will enable us to add requests and get responses from our backend. Let's see how this is done. So we already created the backend of our page. So now it is time to actually edit the home.html and write the front end of our application. So here let's remove this tag, and then under the head I will add a title. Okay, so our title will be chatbot. Okay, and after that let's now start writing the body. So let's write here h1 and press tab chatbot, and this will be displayed on the top of our page, and then we'll create a form. So I will do form. Okay, so in the form on the action let's do get, and then method will be equal to get as well. Okay, and after that let's add label. So for message enter your query. So here we will enter our query. After that let's do input. Okay, and the type of the input will be text. ID would be equal to msg for message, and the name will also be equal to message. Okay, msg, that's it. And also I will make this field required by simply typing the required keyword. So let's do required. Okay, and finally let's do another input. So let's do input submit, and then the value that will be displayed there would be equal to submit. Okay, and this will be our form. So once you exit the form, let's add br. Okay, and then I will do div on the same level, and let's add here id. So refer to this div as chatbot dash response. Okay, and then let's write p chatbot. Okay, and then let's add another p. ID would be equal to response, and that's it. And finally we'll need to add the specific script or a function with which we're going to display the response from our OpenAI API. Okay, this is actually the most important function, and this is how we will go to from one page to the other, or from request to response. So let's do that. Just before, let's fix this typo here. So here is chatbot, and also enter your query. Let's do a column here so it's more presentable. Okay, and after that, let's write script. So I'll do here script, and then let's write function equals to display response. Okay, and this is a JavaScript function. So this is how you work with HTML. Actually, we're going to place the CSS, the HTML, and the JavaScript within the same file. And if you're not familiar with those tools, those front-end tools, I advise you to look at simple tutorials about those just in order to catch up and see what they basically do. But with simple words, the HTML is pretty much defining the structure of your web page. JavaScript is adding some more complicated functionality, while the CSS is responsible for the colors, for the position of the elements, basically the way we're displaying the elements. So now let's do var response div equals to document dot get element by id, and then let's write response. Okay, then let's do response div dot inner html equals to response. Okay, and let's close the function here. Then let's create another variable called xhr equals new xml http request, and then xhr dot open get, and then backslash get. So here we'll refer to our get page, and then let's do xhr dot on ready state change equals function, and here we'll create another function. So I will do if xhr dot ready state equals to 4 and xhr dot status equals to 200. So if we have a successful response, then what we want to do is to display response xhr dot response text. Okay, and let's close the curly bracket here. Let's add a semicolon. Actually, this will be after that here. So here we're closing the initial function bracket here. And finally, let's do xhr dot send and a colon here. And that's our completed HTML file. So you're done. Let's run our application again and see if everything is going to be as expected. So here I run the application, and you can see that it is now running on this address. And if you click on it, you can see that here you're having your chatbot, right? And if I write something, so let's say how much is 1 plus 1, and let's say I submit that, you get in a new page 2. You can see that the application is a little bit buggy because we're also getting messages here below, but basically you're getting the answer of every question that you ask in a new page. Let's ask the question what is the weather today and submit it, and you can see that we're also getting the correct answer. So our chatbot is working. The front end is currently a little bit buggy, but in the next few videos you'll see how we will slowly improve our responses. We'll add also chatbot history so you can see what you texted to the chatbot in the past, and we'll also add some CSS to make it look better and eventually display it on the right place. So if you want to see all of those improvements in the complete project, definitely check out the rest of the course and the rest of the videos in that section. Once you have the backend and the base front end all done, now let's try to improve our application a little bit and display the response from the OpenAI in the same page. To do that, you need to add some changes to the HTML or to the home.html file. This would mean that you should make sure that your page actually updates when you send something to the OpenAI. So let's go here, and firstly I will remove this statement from our form, and then we'll go down here to the script function, which is basically controlling how our page is being displayed. So let's remove this function and create a new one. So let's do function, and actually this function will be shorter than the previous one, but it will add more functionality. So let's do submit form, okay, and then let's create a variable, so var user text equals to document dot get element by id. Okay, and here I will pass the message, so msg dot value. Okay, let's create another variable, so var xhr equals to new xml http request, and then xhr dot open, so we open the request, and let's use the get method here, so get comma slash get question mark msg equals plus user text. So you can see that even though the xhr element is the same, now here in the next line we're querying the get message in the same page. So after that the function will continue in the same way as in the previous example. It's just that here we're not going to close the submit form function, and this response function will be part of it. So again, we will check if the ready state is equal to 4 and if the status is 200, which means that the response was successful. And then I will do document dot get element by id response dot inner html equals to xhr dot response text. Okay, now we can close this curly bracket here, and then we can close the previous one as well, and then I'll write here xhr dot send, and then finally we'll need to close the bracket that started from the beginning because we didn't close it yet. So I will do that as well. Then another thing that I will do is actually I will move all this one step in, so you can select all of it and press tab on your device, so this will move all the code one step in, so it looks more representable. And this line as well. Okay, write a semicolon here after send, and we're ready. Now once you're done with the function, go up and we have to edit here our submit form. So after value submit, and actually type here will be button. Okay, so submit, and then let's do on click equals submit form. Okay, and let's close the brackets, and you will see that once we click this button, actually we will activate this submit form function. So this is the complete HTML, guys, and once you're ready with it, you can go back and run your application. The idea is that your application will now be able to show you the response or the answer from the ChatGPT into the same field. So let's run that, and let's click here to open the app. So here is your chat, and let's ask something. Let's say, who is Elon Musk? Question mark, submit. And then you can see that we're actually getting the response right now, not in another page, but actually in the same page. So this is a very good progress. However, you see that if we submit actually the same question, we will of course get a different response because this is how AI works, but the previous message has been deleted. And this is not really what we expect from a chat. So for that reason, in the next video, we will try to address the fact that we don't see multiple messages, and also I will update the design by adding some CSS. Now in this video, I will show you how to firstly upgrade your chat display by adding custom CSS, and also in the second part of that video I will show you how you can display the chat history in the same page. So with every video you're getting closer and closer to building your complete chat application. So in this video I will make sure that you have the complete history displayed. So to do that, in the body we will need to add some changes. Now firstly I will remove the header because we no longer need it, but I will create another div. Okay, so let's do here div, and this will be with a class chatbot container, and this will be an imaginary container in which we have our chatbot. Now inside this div, let's do another div, and here I want id equals to conversation dash history. So this will be our conversation history tag. Okay, and this will also have a class called with the same name, conversation history. Okay, great. So now that class or that div is also done. And the next thing that I want to add to my div here will be actually our form. Okay, so I will cut it and paste it here. Let's just make it look a little nicer. Okay, and also since I want to edit the style of the form, I will want to mark it in some way. So let's do class. Okay, and the class will be equal to chatbot-form, okay, and then we'll close the div. So this will be the main div for our application. Now, let's remove the response from the chatbot because we will not need it anymore, since the complete application will run here in that div, okay? And then here below, I will need to add some updates to the JavaScript. Now, in order to add the conversation history, you will need to update the JavaScript right here in this if statement. So if the response is correct, what we want to do is to record the history or what we've got. So you can do var conversation history equals to document dot get element by ID. Okay, then we'll do conversation dash history. Okay, so this is how we'll get the history if the response is valid. And then we'll do conversation history dot inner HTML plus equals to. And here we'll specify what will be called to. So let's do here P for paragraph, user, okay, and here we'll display what we'll get from the user, plus user text plus. So now let's create the chatbot. So I will do again P and then another one, okay, chatbot plus. And then here what the chatbot says should be displayed. So you can do xhr dot response text plus slash p, okay, and let's write here a semicolon. And here will be, or here we'll define how the response from the chatbot will be displayed and saved in the history. So once you are done with the JavaScript, let's run the application and see if we'll get the history now. Okay, click the link. And after that, you can see in a way more simple way the actual field here. So let's write something and let's do what is the weather today, submit. And you can see that we're getting now the response from the user. So we get the user question and we also get the response from the chatbot. Let's do how much is 1 plus 1 to see if we will get another response. 2. And then you can see no matter even if you ask the same question, you're going to get the same response. So of course this looks very ugly, so let's add some CSS in order to improve the way it is displayed. So I will stop the application and here in the head under the title you can add your CSS. So to write the CSS and the JavaScript, you can see that they're actually not supported in PyCharm. I actually use a tool called Sublime Text just because it is way easier to write code when there's some tool that is guessing what you want to write. What you need to do is simply to go to the folder in which you have your chatbot, go to the file home.html and templates, okay, and then simply do open with and open with Sublime Text. So if you don't have this tool installed, I advise you to install it. It is very useful. And you can see that even here the JavaScript is underlined, which is great. So let's go here under the chatbot and write style, okay? And here you can write the CSS file. Now you can either write the CSS in a different file or you can write in the same file. It pretty much doesn't matter. So I will choose to write it in the same file. Now firstly, we'll add a style for the chatbot and the conversation history. Let's do that. Now I will do dot chatbot container, okay, and here I will do background color will be equal to, I will do it silver, so let's do F0, 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 okay. You can obviously edit those colors if you want to have them, let's say, a little bit more colorful, blue, red, whatever you like. Then let's do padding of 20 pixels. Let's do border radius, okay, 10 pixels. And let's do then box shadow, and this will be the shadow behind the box. So let's do 0px, 0px, 0. Let's do this 10 pixels, and then a hashtag ccc, okay, and you're ready with that style. So let's do the style for the conversation history. So I will do dot conversation history, and here I will do max height 300 pixels. Then let's do overflow dash y, okay, will be auto, and then margin dash bottom will be 20 pixels. Then let's change the style of the paragraph in conversation history. So I will do dot conversation history p, and here I will add a margin of 0, so we ensure that it's always 0. Then let's do the styles for the form, and the input fields. So let's do dot chatbot dash form. Okay, and you can do here display flex and then align items center. Okay, then let's do dot chatbot form, and here we will design the input field. So let's do input type equals to text. Okay, and after that let's do flex grow equals to 1, then padding will be equal to 10 pixels, then let's do margin right 10 pixels, border radius 5 pixels, and finally border will be none, so we have no border. So this will be our text field, and finally let's design the submit button. So let's do again chatbot form input type equals to submit. Okay, and then background color will be equal to a hashtag 4CAF50, then color will be white. Let's add some padding, so it will be 10 pixels and 20 pixels. Let's do border equals none, so there is no border, and we'll ensure that. And finally let's do two more fields, so I will do border radius of 5 pixels and cursor will be pointer. Okay, let me just fix this typo here. So now you can save it, and you see that once you press the save button, if I go back, you also get the changes into the other display of the file. And so let's run the app and see if our changes were applied. So obviously guys, you can see that the field right now looks actually way better. You have this gray background, you have the input field, and you have your submit button right here. So if I write how much is 1 plus 1, let's submit, and you can see that we're getting the output here in this field. You can ask the same question again. Let's do write an essay about the Second World War. Let's submit that, and let's see how our chat will behave with a little bit longer response. So you can see that just in a few seconds we actually have our short essay up to 256 characters as we defined, that was given to us by the chatbot. Okay, so you can pretty much ask everything you like, and you will get exactly the same response as you would get from the OpenAI artificial intelligence. So thanks for watching. There is only one final step, and you'll be able to actually display the chat in the bottom left corner. And so in the next video we will do exactly that, and I will also show you how to add the cancel and the minimize button, and how also to be able to scroll through your chat history. Thanks for watching. Now finally, let's shape and add the closing and minimizing capabilities on our chatbot, which will make our project complete. Now to do that, we will need to drastically change our home HTML file in order to incorporate all of those capabilities. The submit form function wouldn't change drastically, but we'll need to add here the closing window function and the window minimizer. So firstly, let's go to the beginning of the body of our file, and here I will rename this from chatbot container to chatbot window. Okay, and actually let's open this file into the Sublime Text tool. Okay, right here, and you'll be able to add all those changes. Okay, so here we are in the editor. Okay, so once you rename this, let's add another div inside. So I will do div, and here I will create a class, and I will name it chatbot buttons. Okay, and then those buttons will be the close and the minimize buttons. So I will do button and then class equals to close dash button. Then let's do on click. So when you click the button, you want to activate the close button function, which we will create later. So let's write here close button. Okay, and I will set this to be as a function. Then let's create another button, and here I want class equals to minimize dash button, and then I want another on click, and here we activated the minimize chatbot. Okay, and here actually I will write instead of button also chatbot. Okay, great. So here you are going to activate both of those buttons. Okay, I will also remove this class from the conversation history. We will not need it. Then this form here will not change. So we're still going to run the submit form function, and pretty much that's it. Now let's go back to our submit form function, and here we will actually not need to add any changes, simply because this function is already working properly. So the fact that we're resizing our chat and adding a few more buttons doesn't mean that we need to change the core functionality that we already worked on. So now we will create the minimize and the close function. So I'll start with the close function since it is easier, and let's do function close chatbot. Okay, and now in that function I will create a new variable. So let's do var chatbot window will be equal to document dot get element by id, and here let's select chatbot window. Okay, and if you go up you can see that here's our chatbot window. Okay, so this is the div that we got, and now the only things that we need to do now is to actually close the window that is marked with element id of chat window. So you can do that by writing chatbot window dot style dot display equals to none. Okay, and once you display this to none, this would mean that your window will no longer be displayed, and we're done with that function. Now the resizing is a little bit more complicated because we have to set up the ability to resize the window, and then once you select the button again, the window needs to appear again. So let's create a new function. Okay, function minimize chatbot. Okay, and here let's actually copy and paste this variable. So this is what will select our window, and also I'll create another variable. So let's do var conversation history will be equal to document dot get element by id, and here I'll write the id of conversation history, which you can copy from here. So let's just copy that, okay, and let's paste it here. Okay, so now we have a variable that got the chatbot window and the conversation history, and then let's create another variable that will get the actual form. So let's do form equals to document dot query selector, and here I will write dot, and let's copy that chatbot form. Okay, so here's how we're gonna get the element by class. Now let's create an if statement, and here we will say if the chatbot window dot style dot height is equal to 400 pixels. Okay, and this will be our initial height, then we would want to minimize it. Okay, so we want to, when this function is activated, and if the height is 400 pixels, then we want to reduce that height and to make the window small. So you can do chatbot window dot style dot height will be equal to 50 pixels. Okay, and then conversation history will not be displayed, so I will do style dot display equals to none. Okay, and after that let's do form dot style dot display equals none as well. Okay, so we will not display the form and the history, and we will display the window as minimized, so we will reduce the height. But what happens if the window is already minimized? Well, we need to add else here. Okay, and here we want to actually increase the height and make the history and the form appear again. So you can do chatbot window dot style dot height equals to 400 pixels. Okay, and let's put this in parentheses or in quotes. Then the conversation history dot style dot play will be equal to block, and then we will do the same thing with the form. So let's do form style dot display equals to block, and then let's write a semicolon. Okay, so now I can close that. So those would be the core functions, and now once this is done, we will need to update, of course, the style, and this will be quite a significant update because we will need to update all the elements to be displayed in the way that we like. And firstly, I will remove the chatbot container because we no longer have element with this name, and instead I will place the chatbot window. So let's do a hashtag chatbot dash window, and let's do position equals to fixed. Okay, we're gonna fix in the corner. So I will do bottom 0, okay, and then right also 0. That will make it appear in the bottom right corner. Then let's do width. Let's do it 350 pixels. Then height 350 pixels, or actually let's do the height a little bit bigger, so let's do it 400 pixels. Let's do the background color equal to F0, F0, F0. You can change that, of course, to a color that you like. Then let's add some padding of 20 pixels, a border radius of 10 pixels. Then let's do box dash shadow equal to 0 pixels, then 0, 10, and then hashtag CCC. Then let's do display, will be flex, and then flex direction will be in column. Okay, so this is how your window will look, and this will be its attributes. Then for the conversation history, I'll actually add a hashtag here since I want to refer it by ID now. And then we'll do max height. We will no longer need that, but instead I will place another element called flex grow of 1, and then the rest I will leave. And that will be all. I'll remove this field from here. Then for the chatbot form, I want to add some more attributes here, so let's add some padding of 10 pixels, a background color, I will do it F5, 5, F5, and then let's do border top, 1 pixel, solid, and CCC as a color. Then the chatbot form input will not have any change for the text. Then for the submit, you can also keep it as it is. And lastly, I just want to add a style for the chatbot buttons. So let's do dot chatbot buttons. Okay, this will be the same tag as here, so you can even copy and paste it. And here let's do position, absolute, top 10 pixels, and then right 10 pixels as well. So once you define that for the whole div, let's define that for the particular buttons. Okay, so I will do dot chatbot buttons and then button. Okay, then let's do background color transparent, border will be none. Okay, and cursor will be pointer when we go there. Okay, now let's define the particular colors and style and size of the close and the minimize button. So let's do chatbot buttons dot, and let's see our close button. So I will just copy that, copy, paste, and then let's do font size 18 pixels, and then color, let's do this one, F44336. So if you check this color here, you can see that this is a shade of red, so our close button will be red. I mean, this makes sense. And after that, let's finally create the minimize button. So I will do chatbot buttons dot, then let's just copy and paste the tag of the minimize button. That's it. And here again I will define the size, so let's do font size. It will again be 18 pixels, and the color will be this one. It is a shade of blue, as you can see, so it's 00 BCD4. Okay, so let's add this to the file. Okay, and finally let's go here because I want to fix some things. So here instead of class, let's do ID, right? So since here we have the chatbot window, and if you go up, you can see that we refer it as a hashtag, so it makes sense to be an ID. And here let's add I times, and below in the minimize button, let's add again this symbol, and then let's do minus. Okay, and let's save that. So now your project is completed, guys. You have your complete chatbot. So let's run it and see how it works. Okay, I will go to the link, and here is your page. You can see that your chatbot is here in the bottom. So you can minimize it, you can maximize it. As you can see, it works completely fine. And you can start a conversation. Let's say, hi, what is your name? Okay, and let's hit the submit button. So you can see that you get a response. And let's write, mine is Martin. Nice to meet you. Okay, let's submit that. And you can see that we're getting a response. Let's ask, can I cancel my internet subscription? Okay, let's say we want to cancel our internet subscription. And you can see that we're getting a response that we can cancel our internet subscription anytime. So let's just ask a basic question, what is the weather today? And also check if the scroll bar is working properly. Okay, so you can see that when I ask the AI multiple questions, we're actually saving the responses, and there is a scroll bar on the side with which you can scroll, just like in a real chat. So as I said, you can minimize, maximize, ask wherever you want, and when you don't need the chat anymore, you can simply click the X button and the chat will disappear completely until you reset the application. So this is it, guys. This is how you can create a completely operational chatbot using the OpenAI API. Just 33 lines of backend code and a little bit more, about 128 lines of front end with some JavaScript. But as you can see, it is not a rocket science and it's really not very complicated to create a chat. Especially the core function is just about 10 lines of code. So feel free to copy and use this project if you want to apply to your own application. I'm posting it completely free of copyright, so it's entirely yours. That said, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the rest of our section. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you learned something new today, I would really appreciate if you can subscribe our channel for more interesting lessons like this. Or you can also join our software engineering community and get access to the full 7-hour ChatGPT course and even more programming courses on game development, applications development using different programming languages such as Python, Java, and many more. You can do that from the link in the description. That said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in our next video.